Interacting with people through computers is not at all the same as interacting with people in person. All those little clues, the ability to pick those up, if you're asking jurors to do that in a Zoom trial, it's like asking someone to look through a keyhole and tell you all about what's on the other side of the door. Online interactions impede two very important things that jurors need to do during a normal trial. They need to assess credibility of witnesses and parties, and they need to empathize. Now, you may say empathy. That's a soft, touchy-feely thing. You're a plaintiff's lawyer, Quentin. Empathy, that just means you want them to like your client and want to help them. Well, we know that the jury charge says, do not let bias, prejudice, or sympathy play any part in your deliberations, but empathy is allowed. And empathy, I would submit to you, is not only allowed, it is essential. That parties and the jurors may empathize with the defendant. They may empathize, we don't know who they're going to empathize with, but they need to decide and be able to decide whether to empathize. And anything, an online platform being the subject du jour, anything that impedes the ability of jurors to do that, I would submit to you, is problematic and imperils the outcomes of those adjudications, the fairness and the justice of them. And so, as I said, asking jurors to assess credibility of witnesses and parties and to empathize or not empathize with parties through online platforms is akin to asking them to do that by peering through a keyhole. I would argue it is literally next to impossible. Empathy is no small thing. The loss of it is not a peripheral thing. It's very important, and it goes to the heart of determining credibility, what the jurors have to do. It goes to the heart of the jurors determining what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. So the first hurdle, if you will, that we have to get over is to decide what is empathy, because it is so often confused and so easily confused with its cousin, sympathy, but they are very, very different, empathy and sympathy. So Merriam-Webster's, during cross or even now, it's always nice to just pull out the old-fashioned Webster's and see how Webster's defines empathy. The action or capacity of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experience of another without having the feelings, thoughts, and experience fully communicated in an objective manner. There's a distinction between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy means I share your feelings. I basically have those same feelings, right? Empathy means I don't necessarily share your feelings, but I understand them. I understand your grief at the loss of your loved one. I'm not sharing it. I'm not making it my own feeling, but I understand it. That is the distinction, I and others argue, between sympathy and empathy. And when you talk about empathy, a quick knee-jerk reaction on the part of many is, well, that's just sympathy. And we're not supposed to have sympathy anyway in our jury trials. Granted, we're not supposed to have sympathy, but we certainly can have, and I would argue, need to have empathy. Zoom trials, I think, have earned a place in our toolbox of adjudications when they're agreed upon, perhaps for smaller disputes, but they should not be forced down the throats of litigants. I thank you very much for your time and attention today.